Hi, it's Corrine. Thanks so much for joining me today. Today I'm sharing a quick card with you. I made a A6 card. So that is 6¼ by 4½. And I'm pulling out some flowers that I had made for a previous project. They're the Altenew Magnificent Magnolia flowers. So pretty. One of my favorite die sets from Altenew. So I decided I wanted to use up some of the flowers. I cut my main panel for my card base a little bit smaller. I cut it to 6 by 4¼ ran that through a Cuttlebug mosaic embossing folder, just using my Sizzix Big Shot. And for my card base and my main panel, I'm using Hammermill 80 pound, and then for the card base, I'm using 100 pound cardstock. I decided I wanted to use some pattern paper from one of my 6x6 pads. I pulled out way too many going through them. I cut half that out of the video, but I wanted just kind of a generic pattern. I didn't want anything, too colorful. So I was trying to decide between this black and white script and also a gold stripe paper. And as you saw probably at the beginning, I went with that scripty paper, but I wasn't sure at this point. So I cut both of them down and just cutting them at a diagonal. I'm using my tonic paper trimmer. I love that guillotine trimmer. So I just marked it with a pencil. I'm not measuring anything. I'm just kind of marking it with a pencil, cutting them down. Cut both of them down. That way I could kind of put them with the flowers to see which one I liked better. And I do like that yellow and white stripe paper, but I liked the black word pattern paper a little bit better. So again, I'm just using a pencil, basically copying that other size because I liked the other size, and I'll cut this one down as well. I'll save that other piece for another project. The paper that I ended up choosing was Kaisercraft. It's called True Love, and I'll show you that in a moment here. In the meantime, I'm scoring my cardstock in half, using my scoring board and just really giving that a good press with my bone folder. And that leaves me just a little bit of matting on the front, which was really pretty. To glue that down, I will pull out my Fabri-Tac Beacon glue. I feel like that works great with embossing panels, and it's just super quick. I'll use that to add my pattern paper on as well. And now I'll just lay out my flowers, kind of see how I wanted them to go, and I will add some foam squares to the back of those. For the sentiment on the front of the card, I pulled out a few pre-made sentiments. I've been trying to use those up lately because I have a lot of them made, and it makes it so simple. But I didn't particularly like those with this card, so I ended up pulling out a Concord in 9th. It's called Cottage Garden, and I use the stamp and die that comes with it. I love the stamp that says I adore you. So I glued 3 layers of the black cardstock, and on the top layer I will stamp that down with some Versamark ink, heat emboss that using some white fine detailed powder by Ranger. And for the sub-sentiment, "You're the best ever," I love that too. I just stamped that on white cardstock with black ink. I used VersaFine Claire Nocturne ink, but I wanted to give, so it has a coordinating die with it, and that's what cut out that white piece, but I wanted to extend the coordinating die, so I cut it a little bit larger just by moving the die cut over. And then I split that paper in half with scissors, but I didn't like I thought I would like that little notched look, but I didn't. So to fix that, I just cut out another die cut, cut it in half, and now I'll glue it behind it, and you don't notice it in the final card. So I did glue over that sentiment. So in order to fix that, I just stamped another one because that one I already had in my pre-made bin. So I wasn't really happy with that other stamp. It wasn't a perfect stamp. So I was okay with having to stamp it again. So again, I stamped the "You're the Best Ever" in black ink, and then I heat embossed the "I Adore You." Love the font on that as well. I did stamp that a couple of times just to make sure I had a good impression. Added my embossing powder, and I let that sit for a second while I got my heat gun out. I've had this heat gun probably 20 years. I give you a close-up, but that never gets old to me, watching it emboss. I love that. So I'll give that just a minute to dry. I do take the heat gun to my other sentiment, being that I'm going to be putting it through my die cut machine. I wipe off the embossing powder bag that I used to prep my paper, get rid of that powder look. And now I'll just glue all my sentiments together. I do put this white piece of paper down and hold it down with my magnets just because I'm working with black cardstock on a black mat. So I thought it would be easier to see. So now I do a couple layers of this sub-sentiment as well because I knew that this was going to be sitting on top of those flowers. So I did want it to be sturdy. Just place that in the middle. And then I will have to, when adding it to my card, because the flowers are a little bit dimensional, I just add some foam tape to the front of the sentiment and the end of the sentiment on both the "I adore you" and "You're the best," and then just add wet glue in the center, and that way it adheres to the flowers. I do finish the card with some clear dewdrops, which to me, I didn't want, the card is busy enough. I didn't want to add anything busier. And the white flowers, when I pre-made those several weeks ago or a couple months ago, I didn't add centers to them. So I will add some flower centers, just white centers to finish them off. Here's a closer look at the card. I hope you've enjoyed today's process. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments section. And I really hope you consider subscribing to my channel. You can also find me on Instagram and Facebook under CorenesCreations as well. Thanks so much for stopping by. Have a great day.